The grand chamber of the Galactic Council stretched up into darkness, its curved walls glowing with a soft blue light. Admiral James Walker stood at the center, his weathered face illuminated by hundreds of floating screens. Above him, tier after tier of alien representatives looked down with expressions ranging from amusement to outright contempt. "You expect us to believe," the High Speaker's voice boomed through the chamber, "that humans have mastered dimensional folding?" A ripple of laughter echoed through the vast space. The High Speaker was a tall being with silvery skin that seemed to flow like mercury. "Your species barely managed faster than light travel 50 years ago." Walker kept his hands clasped behind his back, the same way he had stood on his ship's bridge for 30 years. His blue uniform, decorated with Earth Force medals, seemed plain compared to the elaborate robes of the council members. But he stood straight and proud. "We don't expect you to believe anything," Walker replied, his voice clear and steady. "We are here as a courtesy, informing the Council of our technological advancement as required by galactic law." Section 7.3. More laughter filled the chamber. A representative from the Crystal Worlds, their bodies shimmering like cut diamond, leaned forward. "Your species still uses chemical rockets for planetary transport. We watched your attempts at quantum tunneling. They were adorable." Walker felt his jaw tighten, but kept his expression neutral. They didn't know about Europa, about the real tests, about what Dr. Gray and his team had achieved in those ice-covered labs. The memory of what he'd seen there made these laughs easier to bear. "The Council recognizes humanity's enthusiasm," the High Speaker said, making several others chuckle. "But dimensional folding requires understanding of at least 6 spatial dimensions. Your scientists still debate the nature of the 4th dimension." That was technically true, Walker thought. Publicly, Earth scientists did debate the 4th dimension, the same way they publicly debated quantum tunneling. The same way Project Tesseract remained hidden beneath Europa's ice, its existence known only to a handful of people. "Perhaps a demonstration would help," Walker suggested, knowing they would refuse. The Council never visited Earth. They considered the Sol system a backwater, interesting only for its unusual variety of life forms. "We have more pressing matters to discuss," another council member called out. This one had tentacles that waved gracefully as they spoke. "The Crescent Empire's expansion threatens 3 major trade routes. We cannot waste time on primitive experiments." Walker nodded slowly. "Of course, Earth understands the Council's priorities." He paused, then added, "Though I wonder if anyone has considered why the Crescent Empire grows so bold." That brought a moment of silence. The Crescent Empire had been pushing boundaries lately, their fleet testing the patience of even the most powerful council races. Their ships could bend space in ways that made them nearly untouchable. "The Empire's actions are not Earth's concern," the High Speaker said firmly. "Your system lies far from their territory." "For now," Walker replied quietly. He bowed, the exact depth required by protocol. "No more, no less. Earth thanks the Council for its time. We will continue our primitive experiments and trouble you no further." As he turned to leave, the laughter started again. Let them laugh, he thought. Let them dismiss Earth as they had for the past century. In the secure comm unit in his pocket, a message was already waiting. 3 words from Colonel Stone. "Test 7 successful." Walker kept his face carefully blank as he walked out of the council chamber. Soon, they would understand. Not just about dimensional folding, but about why humans had succeeded where others had failed. Other races saw dimensions as mathematical concepts, as spaces to be measured and mapped. But humans had discovered something different, something that connected consciousness itself to the fabric of reality. The Council's laughter followed him down the grand corridor. Walker smiled slightly, thinking of the crystal ship waiting in Europa's secret dock. Let them laugh. Sometimes the best moment was right before everything changed, when you alone knew what was coming. In a few days, no one would be laughing anymore. Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, Dr. Robert Gray stared at the holographic display floating in front of him. Numbers and equations danced in the air, casting a soft green glow across his tired face. The vast underground chamber hummed with energy as massive computers processed data from their latest test. "The seventh dimension is still unstable," he muttered, running a hand through his gray hair. "We can see it, touch it even, but we can't control it." Behind him, Colonel Mary Stone watched silently. Unlike the scientist's messy lab coat, her uniform was perfectly pressed, her posture military straight. The weight of humanity's future rested on this project, and she felt every ounce of it. "Show me Test 7 again," she ordered, stepping forward. A hologram shifted, displaying a small probe surrounded by swirling energy. As they watched, the probe seemed to exist in multiple places at once, then vanished completely before reappearing. "That's the problem." Dr. Gray pointed at the moment of disappearance. "We can push objects into the seventh dimension, but we can't predict where they'll emerge. It's like..." He paused, searching for simple words. "It's like trying to write a story without knowing the alphabet." Colonel Stone frowned. "But the probe did return. That's progress." "Yes, but a probe is one thing. The Archimedes is something else entirely." Dr. Gray waved his hand, and the hologram changed to show their prototype ship. It hung in a massive underground dock, its crystal hull reflecting the lights like a massive diamond. "We can't risk a crew until we solve this." A young scientist rushed into the lab, holding a tablet. "Dr. Gray, you need to see this." She stopped, saluting quickly when she noticed Colonel Stone, then continued, "We found something in the consciousness readings." Dr. Gray took the tablet, his eyes widening as he read. This can't be right." He looked up at Colonel Stone. "During Test 7, we had 15 scientists observing. The probe's behavior matched their brainwave patterns exactly." "Explain," Stone demanded. "The seventh dimension. It responds to consciousness, not just to calculations or machines, but to human thought itself." Dr. Gray's hands shook with excitement. "Other races failed because they tried to map it like normal space. But it's not space at all. It's possibility. And human minds can shape it." Colonel Stone stepped closer to the hologram of the Archimedes. "Can you prove this?" "Better," Dr. Gray smiled. "We can use it. The crystalline structure of the Archimedes, we designed it to amplify quantum effects. But what if it could amplify consciousness too? A ship that doesn't just travel through dimensions, but shapes them according to its crew's thoughts." "How long?" Stone asked. 2 days to modify the systems. Then we can test with a full crew." He paused. "But we'll need special people. Strong minds. Clear thinkers." Colonel Stone nodded. She pulled out her comm unit, typing quickly. "Admiral Walker is finishing at the council. I'll inform him of our progress." She looked at the young scientist. "What's your name?" "Lisa, Mom. Lisa Reed." "Well, Lisa, you just helped solve a problem that has puzzled the greatest minds in the galaxy. How would you like to be part of the first crew?" Lisa's eyes widened. "The first crew. On the Archimedes. We need minds that can see new possibilities," Dr. Gray said kindly. "You clearly can." As they talked, the Archimedes waited in its dock. Its crystal hull contained technologies that even the council races would find advanced, but its true power would come from something uniquely human: the ability to imagine new realities and make them real. In orbit high above them, Admiral Walker's ship began its return journey to Europa. In the council chamber, the laughter had already faded to memory. Soon, very soon, humanity would show the galaxy why imagination was the most powerful force in any dimension. The seventh dimension was waiting, and humanity was ready to shape it. The emergency alarms woke Admiral Walker just 3 hours after he'd returned to Europa. Red lights flashed through the underground base as he rushed to the command center, his uniform hastily buttoned. "Report," he barked, entering the massive room filled with glowing screens and worried faces. Colonel Stone turned from the main display, her face grim. Crescent Empire ships, sir. A lot of them. They just appeared at the edge of our solar system. The main screen showed hundreds of silver ships, their curved hulls gleaming against the darkness of space. They were beautiful in a deadly way, like polished knives. Each one could destroy a small planet. How many? Walker asked, though he could already tell it was too many. 327 warships, Stone answered, the largest fleet they've ever gathered. They're demanding Earth's immediate surrender. Walker watched as more data scrolled across the screens. The Crescent Empire ships were using their famous space-bending technology, jumping through tiny folds in reality to move faster than light itself. It was the same technology that had made them unstoppable, that had made the Council races nervous. "Show me their message," he ordered. The main screen changed to show an alien face. The Crescent Emperor's skin was pale blue, his eyes like black diamonds. When he spoke, his voice was smooth and confident. "People of Earth," the Emperor said, "your system now belongs to the Empire. Your attempts to develop dimensional technology have not gone unnoticed. Submit to our rule, share your research, and you may live as our servants. Resist, and we will turn your oceans to steam." The message ended. The command center was silent except for the beeping of computers. "They're not waiting for the Council to stop them anymore," Stone said quietly. "And they know about Project Tesseract." Walker nodded slowly. "How long until they reach Earth?" 6 hours at their current speed. "And the Archimedes?" Dr. Gray spoke up from his console. "The modifications are complete. Lisa and the crew are ready. But sir," he hesitated, "we've only done simple tests. Using it in battle." Walker walked to the window overlooking the underground dock. The Archimedes floated there, its crystal hull pulsing with soft light. It looked small, so small compared to the Empire's fleet. "Doctor," Walker said, still looking at the ship, "you said human consciousness can shape the 7th dimension. What happens when that consciousness is focused by fear, by the need to protect our home?" Dr. Gray's eyes widened. "Theoretically, the emotional intensity could make the effects stronger. Much stronger." "Colonel Stone," Walker turned, his decision made. "Send our response to the Empire. Tell them." He smiled slightly, remembering the Council's laughter. "Tell them humanity declines their generous offer." "Yes, sir." Stone's fingers flew over her console. "Should I alert Earth's defense fleet?" "No." Walker's voice was firm. "We do this alone. If we fail, Earth's fleet will be their last defense. Lisa," he looked at the young scientist who had made the breakthrough, "are you ready?" Lisa stood straighter, her lab coat exchanged for a pilot's uniform. "Yes, sir. The crew is boarding now." "Good." Walker looked around the room, at the humans who had worked so hard in secret. "The Council laughed at us. The Empire thinks we're easy prey. Let's show them both why they should have paid more attention to the primitive humans." On the main screen, the Empire's fleet grew larger as it moved closer to Earth. They were so confident, so certain of their power. They didn't know that in a hidden base beneath Europa's ice, humanity was about to change everything. "Launch the Archimedes," Walker commanded. "Let's show them what the 7th dimension can really do." The massive doors of Europa's hidden dock slid open silently in the vacuum of space. The Archimedes rose slowly, its crystalline hull catching Jupiter's light and breaking it into thousands of colors. Inside the ship, Lisa sat at the pilot's station, her hands hovering over controls that responded to thought as much as touch. "All systems ready," she reported, her voice steady despite her racing heart. Around her, 5 other crew members worked at their stations, each chosen for their unique mental abilities. Dimensional drive standing by. From the command center, Admiral Walker watched the ship emerge. "Remember," he said through the comm, "your minds are the key. The ship will respond to your thoughts, your intentions. Don't fight it. Guide it." The Crescent Empire's fleet was now visible from Earth, their ships like silver arrows aimed at humanity's heart. Emergency broadcasts were already telling people to prepare for possible attack. But in the Jupiter system, the real defense was just beginning. "Enemy fleet detecting us," reported Tom, the sensor operator. His console showed the Empire's ships turning, their weapons powering up. "They're launching scout ships." Dr. Gray's voice came through the comm. "Lisa, start the dimensional sequence. Remember what we discovered in the tests. Let your mind expand into the higher dimensions." Lisa closed her eyes. The crystal hull around them began to pulse with soft light. The other crew members joined her, their minds linking through the ship's unique systems. They had practiced this, but never under such pressure, never with Earth's fate hanging in the balance. "Fascinating," the ship's engineer, Mike, whispered. I can see the dimensions folding. It's like watching pages of a book bend in ways they shouldn't." 5 scout ships from the Empire's fleet approached rapidly, their weapons charged, ready to destroy this strange human vessel. They fired. "Impact in 3 seconds, Tom announced calmly. Lisa opened her eyes, which now glowed with a faint blue light. "Not here," she said softly. "Not now." The crew's minds merged with the ship's systems, their shared consciousness reaching into the 7th dimension. The energy beams from the Empire's ships passed through the Archimedes as if it were a ghost. Not around it, not over it. Through it. Where the ship had been solid, it now existed partially in other dimensions, untouchable by normal weapons. In the command center, Colonel Stone gripped the edge of her console. "It worked," she breathed. "They actually did it." The scout ships fired again and again, their weapons useless. The Archimedes' hull rippled like water, each blast passing harmlessly through space that somehow existed both here and elsewhere. "Send the visual feed to the Council," Walker ordered. "Let them see what primitive humans can do." On the Archimedes, Lisa felt the ship becoming an extension of their combined consciousness. The 7th dimension wasn't just another direction. It was a space of pure possibility, where human imagination could reshape reality itself. "More ships approaching," Tom reported. 30. No, 50 of them. "Show them," Lisa said, her voice echoing with strange harmonics. "Show them what we can really do." The Archimedes' crystal hull began to shine brighter. Where before it had simply avoided damage, now it began to change. The ship seemed to exist in multiple places at once, its form flickering between dimensions like a dance of light. The Empire's ships fired everything they had. Energy beams, plasma torpedoes, dimensional disruptors, all passed through empty space as the Archimedes shifted between realities faster than thought. "By all the stars," Dr. Gray whispered, watching from Europa. "They're not just using the 7th dimension. They're mastering it." The Archimedes moved forward, untouchable, unstoppable. In its wake, reality itself seemed to ripple and bend. The Empire's mighty fleet, which had terrorized the galaxy, found itself facing something they couldn't even comprehend. Humanity's greatest weapon was about to be revealed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The Archimedes hung in space between Jupiter and the approaching Empire fleet, its crystal hull now glowing with colors that human eyes had never seen before. Inside, Lisa and her crew had reached a state of perfect unity with their ship. Their minds flowed together through the crystalline circuits, touching realms of existence that no other species had ever truly understood. "Main fleet approaching," Tom reported, his voice distant, as if speaking from multiple places at once. "They're charging their dimensional disruptors." Through the ship's sensors, enhanced by their linked consciousness, they could see the Empire's weapons powering up. These weren't simple energy beams anymore. These were the weapons that had made the Empire unstoppable, devices that could tear holes in space itself. "Let them come," Lisa said calmly. In her mind, she could see the 7th dimension now. It wasn't just another direction like up or down. It was an ocean of possibility, where reality was as flexible as thoughts themselves. "Everyone, remember your training. Don't fight the dimensional shift. Flow with it. The Empire's ships fired. Space itself seemed to tear apart as their weapons released their power. Even light bent around the dimensional disruptions, creating patches of absolute darkness against the stars. But the Archimedes didn't move. It didn't need to. Now, Lisa whispered. The crew's minds merged completely with the ship's systems. The crystal hull began to vibrate at frequencies that existed in multiple dimensions at once. In the command center beneath Europa, Dr. Gray watched in amazement as his instruments tried to make sense of what was happening. They're not just avoiding the attacks, he told Admiral Walker. They're rewriting the rules of how space works around them. The dimensional disruptions from the Empire's weapons approached the Archimedes and simply ceased to exist. The ship wasn't dodging them or blocking them. It was reaching into the seventh dimension and changing the very nature of what was possible in that region of space. Impossible. The Empire commander's voice boomed across all channels. Nothing can stop a dimensional disruptor. Nothing. Lisa opened her eyes, which now shimmered with seventh-dimensional energy. You never understood, she said, her voice carrying easily through space. The seventh dimension isn't about weapons or power. It's about possibility, about imagination, about consciousness itself. The Archimedes began to move forward. Where it passed, reality rippled like water. The Empire's weapons didn't just fail. They couldn't exist in the new physics that the human ship was creating around itself. Their fleet is falling back, Tom reported. They're afraid. In the Europa Command Center, Colonel Stone smiled. Send the feed to the council chambers. Full broadcast. The Empire's mighty fleet, over 300 ships strong, found itself retreating from a single human vessel. Their most powerful weapons were useless. Their space-bending technology, which they had used to terrorize the galaxy, seemed primitive compared to what the Archimedes was doing. We're receiving transmissions from the Council, Stone reported. They're asking what we've done, how we've done it. Walker watched the Archimedes, its hull now a cascade of impossible colors as it rewrote the laws of physics around itself. Tell them we did what we said we would. We mastered dimensional folding. We just did it our way. On the Archimedes, Lisa and her crew felt the power of human consciousness expanded through 7 dimensions. They weren't just flying through space anymore. They were reshaping it, reimagining it, showing the galaxy that the greatest force in the universe wasn't technology or weapons. It was the human ability to see beyond the possible, to imagine new realities, and to make them real. The Empire's fleet continued to retreat, their unstoppable weapons rendered meaningless by human innovation. The age of mockery was over. The age of human possibility had begun. The Crescent Empire's fleet hung motionless in space, their silver ships reflecting the distant sunlight. On their command ship, the Emperor watched in disbelief as the Archimedes approached. The human vessel's crystal hull now shimmered with energies that his best scientists couldn't even measure. Fire everything, he commanded, his smooth voice cracking with fear. Use all weapons, all ships. 300 warships responded, unleashing a storm of energy that could have destroyed a solar system. Dimensional disruptors, plasma beams, and reality-tearing weapons filled space with deadly light. For a moment, the combined firepower of the Empire's fleet outshone the sun itself. But on the Archimedes, Lisa and her crew remained calm. Their minds were joined not just with each other, but with the 7th dimension itself. They could see the attack coming not just in normal space, but across all possible realities. Should we dodge? Tom asked, more out of habit than necessity. Lisa smiled. No. Let's show them what human consciousness can really do. The massive wave of destruction reached the Archimedes and simply stopped. Not because it hit a shield or encountered a barrier. It stopped because, in the region around the human ship, the very laws of physics had been rewritten. The Empire's weapons weren't being blocked. They simply couldn't exist in the new reality the humans had created. In the council chambers, the alien representatives watched in stunned silence. The High Speaker's mercury-like skin had turned pale. "How?" they whispered. "How are they doing this?" Admiral Walker's voice came through their communication systems. "You thought dimensions were just directions in space. You tried to master them with machines and mathematics. But we understood something you didn't, that consciousness itself is the key to reality." On the Archimedes, the crew's merged minds reached deeper into the seventh dimension. The ship began to multiply, existing in several places at once. Not illusions or holograms, but the same ship existing simultaneously in different possible realities. "Impossible," the Empire's scientists cried. "The energy requirements alone mold." Energy. Lisa's voice echoed across all channels. "You still think this is about energy?" The Archimedes continued to shift and change, demonstrating mastery over space and time that made the Empire's technology look like children's toys. "This is about imagination, about understanding that reality itself is shaped by consciousness." One by one, the Empire's mighty weapons fell silent. Their ships, which had terrorized the galaxy, now hung helpless in space. Their best technology, their proudest achievements, meant nothing in the face of humanity's breakthrough. In the Europa Command Center, Dr. Gray watched his instruments with tears in his eyes. "They've done it," he whispered. "They've not just mastered the seventh dimension. They've transcended it. The ship isn't just traveling through dimensions anymore. It's becoming pure possibility." The Empire's Emperor watched as his fleet, the most powerful ever assembled, was rendered completely helpless by a single human vessel. His black diamond eyes reflected the impossible colors streaming from the Archimedes hull. He paused, his proud voice trembling. "We surrender." Admiral Walker's response was immediate. "No surrender is needed. We didn't build this ship for war. We built it to explore, to understand, to grow. Your surrender isn't required, but your respect is." The council chambers erupted in discussion. Species that had laughed at humanity now watched in awe as the Archimedes demonstrated powers they had thought impossible. The High Speaker's voice shook as they asked, What do humans want now?" On the Archimedes, Lisa looked at her crew, their minds still linked through the ship's crystal systems. In the seventh dimension, they could see infinite possibilities stretching before them. The age of mockery was over. The age of human achievement had begun. Now it was time to show the galaxy what humanity could really do. 1 month after the confrontation with the Crescent Empire, Admiral Walker once again stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber. This time, there was no laughter. The tiered seats were packed with representatives from every spacefaring race, all leaning forward in perfect silence. The Archimedes floated outside the council station, its crystal hull still shimmering with impossible colors. Inside, Lisa and her crew maintained their connection to the seventh dimension, a constant reminder of humanity's achievement. "You have changed everything," the High Speaker said, their mercury-like skin reflecting the light. "The Empire's fleet has withdrawn to their borders. Their dimensional weapons, which we feared for so long, now seem primitive." Walker nodded. "That's why I've come back. Not to boast, not to threaten, but to offer something new." Dr. Gray stepped forward, carrying the simple data crystal. His lab coat looked out of place among the elaborate robes of the council members, but no one dared comment now. "We're prepared to share our understanding of the seventh dimension," Dr. Gray announced. The chamber erupted in excited whispers. "But not our technology. Not yet." "Why not?" demanded a Crystal World's representative. "You have the power to reshape reality itself. Why not give it to everyone?" Lisa's voice came through the chamber speakers, transmitted from the Archimedes. "Because the technology isn't the key. The power isn't in the crystal hull or the dimensional drives. It's in consciousness itself. In understanding that reality is shaped by mind and imagination more than by machines. We're offering to teach," Walker explained. not to hand over weapons or ships, but to help each species discover their own unique connection to the higher dimensions. Every race thinks differently, sees reality differently. Each will have their own path to understanding. The council chamber was silent as they considered this. The High Speaker finally asked, "And what do humans want in return?" Walker smiled. "Partnership. Real partnership, not the mockery of before. Humanity has opened a door, but we don't claim to know everything that lies beyond it. We want to explore the higher dimensions with you, to learn together what consciousness can really achieve." On the Archimedes, Lisa and her crew felt the seventh dimension pulse with potential. Through their merged consciousness, they could see countless possible futures stretching before them. In some, the galaxy descended into chaos as races fought over dimensional technology. In others, a new age of cooperation and discovery dawned. "The choice is yours," Walker told the council. "We can help you understand what we've learned, guide you towards your own breakthroughs. Or we can leave you to continue as you were, trying to master dimensions through machines alone." Dr. Gray activated his data crystal, projecting an image of human brain waves interacting with seventh-dimensional space. Every consciousness touches the higher dimensions differently. Humans do it one way. Your species might do it another. But none of us can fully explore this frontier alone. The council chambers buzzed with discussion. Species that had once dismissed humanity as primitive now looked at them with new eyes. The Empire's representatives, humbled by their defeat, were among the first to step forward. "We accept," the High Speaker finally announced. "The galaxy is changing. We would rather change with it, learn with it, than be left behind." Walker bowed, exactly as he had before, no deeper, no shallower. But this time, there was no mockery in the chamber, only anticipation of what was to come. On the Archimedes, Lisa looked out at the stars. Through their connection to the seventh dimension, she and her crew could see the shimmering potential of consciousness itself reaching out across space. Humanity had not just proven itself, it had opened the door to something entirely new. The age of isolation was over. The age of shared discovery had begun. And somewhere in the higher dimensions, in the realm of pure possibility, shaped by consciousness itself, the future was waiting to be born.